For the betterment of the town of Cobalt and its people, I call this meeting to order at 6:30. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? None. Deputations and delegations, David Bridges commenting on the Integrity Commissioner report. David, if you'd like to come up.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
I encourage the mayor to take notes if they wish. If there are any factual inaccuracies, I welcome their comments or clarifications at the end of my presentation. The People's Accountability Report. Power doesn't corrupt people. People corrupt power. William Gaddis. I first want to thank all those who wrote letters of complaint, posted comments on their social media feeds, except for the Cobalt Community Forum, where several were banned, negating the definition of forum, which is a discussion. And for those attending in person here tonight, wonderful group tonight, and also those on the several Zoom meetings. For those who courageously spoke their truths at council meetings and vigorously scrutinizing the mayor's now official misconduct. In this presentation, I will refute the arguments in the Integrity Commissioner report via Gibson and present alternative recommendations according to the People's Accountability Report. This is a joint report from comments and feedback from citizens in Cobalt and Coleman. Also, last week I surveyed and sought opinions from 9 library boards and CEOs from North Bay to Timmins. Several were curious about Cobalt's innovative hybrid of 3 political appointees mixed with community volunteers, as none had ever thought of creating a board with the potential political interference perception. All retained only 1 library rep from their councils. They wonder why Cobalt can't get its act together, as they have done. With normal efficiency, their boards are on the job and doing what they should be doing. The only thing at work here is incompetence. This is only one of many malfunctional side stories that are publicly playing themselves out that won't get in any integrity report. The main focus of my presentation will be the verdict from Colleen Hannigan, E4M Integrity Commissioner Consultant, stating the mayor breached Cobalt's code of conduct. Vindicating, we were not a small group, as the mayor characterized in our Morning North CBC interview, but grassroots, democratic champions of accountability and the unelected conscience of our community. Our passion is always for good governance and good leadership. Sadly, this is lacking for the loss of integrity due to the mayor's unilateral actions in dismissing the past library board with a bogus letter purported to be legal. When a community passively neglects to monitor its elected officials, those elected officials can potentially abuse their position of power. The Commissioner Consultant did recommend the Code of Conduct bylaw from 2013 be updated. If updated, again, it is a clearly articulated document. Some changes in no way would have prevented the mayor from acting in a manner that had destroyed their integrity. More training was also recommended. And we don't think that will change any attitudes or behavior on the mayor's part. Since this controversy started, it will only increase the already hefty bill the town and its taxpayers have incurred. Throughout the report, references were made to the mayor being new and inexperienced, and the mayor's position having a steep learning curve. When elected, you come on board as a prepared team player, or you do not and face consequences for your lack of preparation. The report stated, we're also cognizant that she had only held office for 64 days at the time with no previous municipal experience. This was calculated as 64 days from the time the illegal letter was sent on January the 18th. But according to the letter, plans had been in place much earlier to disband the board. So I will calculate that the mayor on November the 15th, 2022, was on the job for 126 days until the report was released on March 21st. Double what was in the integrity report. They were sworn in with the other councillors and signed the code of conduct knowing its repercussions. The integrity commissioner consulted 64 day estimation was inaccurate in justifying the mayor's lack of experience that cannot be used as a defense not to impose a penalty. At the January 17th council meeting, the mayor knew they had sought consultation and legal guidance but never shared it with council. Instead of a confrontational letter, the mayor could have consulted the library board liaison, Councillor Doug Wilcox, who should know the Public Libraries Act. Unfortunately, none of the councillors were alerted to the letter and its devastating, destructive after effects. At the January 17th council meeting, it was stated, after seeking counsel from the Integrity Commissioner, Mayor Gibson proposed that council defer the committee appointments for Cobalt Public Library Paul Penna until the next meeting so that council has a chance to review the very outdated library board bylaw. On January 18th, the mayor sent a letter to the library board members who had submitted their names for reappointment, saying, according to the act, they were dissolved. They were being dissolved. Dissolve means to break up, and defer means to block or put on hold. So these are two contradictory statements. Why wasn't this letter sent to all 8 applicants for library board positions, informing them that council was reviewing the library board bylaw? Being sent to specific past board members was a breach of interference and an attack on the integrity of the present board. Board Chair Maggie Wilson got an opinion from the Ontario Library Services, which said, according to the Public Library Act, there shall be continuance of the library board when one municipal term ends and the other begins. You cannot have a functioning library with a librarian and no board. This authoritative opinion was a direct quote from the Public Library Act, overruling the pseudo-authoritative letter the mayor sent the board, nullifying the letter's legality, but did not immunize the volunteers from unnecessary emotional distress. We are concerned about leadership gaps, and our greatest disappointment just months into this administration is competent leadership. A team leader needs emotional intelligence, demonstrating they listen and empathize, not just hear their ego. A team leader creates greater order and unity, not disorder and disunity. A team leader admits mistakes, apologizes, and learns to become more respectful. Several opportunities during this crisis, the mayor was asked at the council by several Cobalt citizens to apologize for any serious transgressions. They refused. Paraphrasing Cobalt's 2013 Code of Conduct, they have failed to be well informed enough to effectively undertake their policy and decision-making functions with impartiality and transparency. The mayor is a servant leader to make their team successful. Has this mayor done this? We also object to the report's findings that recommended the mayor not be penalized. Not penalizing the mayor would be a gross injustice to all those hurt, along with Cobalt's tarnished reputation of political dysfunctionality. Council should ask for a full apology to past library board members unfairly targeted, councillors sadly misled, and the citizen Cobalt disillusioned and waiting the bill from this fiasco. We recommend a suspension of remuneration of 90 days for every month this chaos has created. We don't see this as a punishment, but a payback. There needs to be a message sent to all councillors that high ethical standards are demanded when you take your oath of office. What is to stop the mayor and any councillor from straying again in the future? I and many others were shocked when the Integrity Commissioner Consultant's report was finished. The mayor, with arrogant indifference, dismissively said, "Oh, let's move on to the next business," without remorse or owning up they had betrayed the trust of Cobalt citizens. The mayor was right on one count. Let's move on to show that misconducts have a price. I'll end my presentation with a leadership quote from Clint Eastwood. It's not about you, it's about them. Does the mayor or councillor have any comments on this report?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Not at the moment.
No,
So in other words,
I do
everything that I
appreciate
said
it.
in this report
I
is
do
accurate
appreciate your,
and accurate and true.
I do appreciate your presentation though, David.
No.
Thank you.
Let's be you haven't been transparent since you started this council meeting. Let's start to be transparent. You know, we're sick and tired of hearing no comment, no comment. You know what no comment is? I'm hiding something.
Thank you.
I don't want to tell I don't want to tell the public the truth.
Order, David.
So you have your opportunity.
Order, please.
This report is accurate, according to the mayor.
Order, please.
Because she never made a comment. She never defended herself.
Thank you. Thank you. Adoption of meeting agenda, draft motion, be it resolved, council approve the agenda of the committee of the whole meeting dated April 4th, 2023 as presented. Can I get a mover on that, please? Angela, seconded by Doug. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Staff reports, Public Works, March 2023. Any discussion on that?
Oh, so we're not having a presentation. I'm just so used to them talking to us.
Yeah. Everybody okay with that one? Item 5.2, Animal Control, March 2023. Anything with that? Bylaw Enforcement, March 2023. Anything on that? Cobalt Public Library, anything on that?
There's not anything on that.
There's nothing here. It's like,
Do with that.
there's nothing. So could someone, maybe the liaison or something say?
Anything to report, Doug?
With respect to council, no, not at the moment. A part of the problem is minutes have not been available since November to give you updates on things that the library has done. We have had some things in open session that have been reported on, like the successes in December with the Christmas programming and in January with the Harry Potter programming. But at the moment, and until I have approved minutes of the meetings of the library, I really got nothing to report.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yes, sir.
I just wondered, do we have a CEO for the library at the moment? Do we have an acting CEO, or is Amber, she was doing the CA job, did she resign, or is she on leave? Is she CEO still? Is Kendra back? Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, nobody knows what's going on. Can you give us an update on that at least? Is there somebody running the library?
If you look at the library's social platform, you will see that we have re-advertised for CEO, an interim CEO. I can't comment on some of the other things because that pertains to an individual who's an employee and is therefore, I can't speak directly about those.
So we don't have a CEO for the library at the moment. That's what we need to know. Yes, sir.
That would be true. That's why we're,
So we don't, okay, so we
Yeah.
don't have one. So can we have the library open without one?
We are having it open with the other staff member who is still with us. She's opening it on Tuesdays and Fridays. She works at another job in between, so she can't do it full time.
Any other discussion? Draft, oh, sorry, Angie.
Sorry, I did have about bylaw, because not all the papers are here that came in our email. So there was something in one of the bylaw reports about items being parked on municipal property or people putting things on municipal property or laneways. I just thought it might be something we might want to consider, is that in Kirkland Lake, if a laneway is never used, they actually will allow people to lease a laneway for about what it would have cost them for taxes. So it might be something that we would consider. It would bring in a bit of extra revenue, especially if it's not a laneway that people actually pass through, or if it's just a vacant lot.
Yes.
In answer to that, the laneways are also to be open and clear for the fire department and for ambulances when necessary.
Angela.
There are some laneways on maps that are not physically accessible by a vehicle. So you have to consider that. So it would be on a case by case basis. You could ask them, is this going to impede you? Oh no, we can't go there anyways. There's trees in the way. Oh, well, in that case, maybe we could lease it. It would be on a case by case basis. So we'd actually get revenue, because there are some that were drawn on maps that have no logic.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Draft motion be resolved, council accept the staff reports as presented. You're gonna move on that. Gary, seconded by Jim. All in favor? Item 6.1, council discussion of integrity commissioner report. Discussion on that. Yes, Pat.
I guess I'll start out. I'm in complete agreement with what he said. I'm in complete agreement with what you said, Mr. Bridges. Right from the beginning, when you apply to run for council or mayor, you should at least have some preparation and training in the background. And you did sit in a number of council meetings for a number of months ahead of time. And yet came in and, at least to all appearances, decided you now own the town and we're taking things over. So making changes to the library. There wasn't a CEO there. There's just so many things. The veiled threat to the Golden Age Club. That would make an excellent.
What are you talking about? Because where are you hearing this? Because this is
Oh,
never.
I was at the executive meeting that you came to when you came to discuss the.
Yes, but there was no mention of anything like
Oh,
that.
yes, there was.
No, there wasn't.
It's in our minutes.
You need to be careful, Pat. 'Cause this
Yeah,
is
no, I'm sorry. Yes.
Point of privilege.
Bring out the minutes. Bring out the minutes.
Let's see the minutes.
On and on and on. I think it's, I can't believe that if it was an absolute mistake that you made sending that letter and not even bothering to put it by council, because council is the ones that are supposed to vote and dictate on things too. And you did that, and then you had the nerve to sit there and not even say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. That very first meeting, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Let's sit down and get this worked out. And you have had how many council meetings since then
50.
to be able to make an apology, and nothing, silence. That that's not the kind of person that should be running a community, because the community is not yours, it's ours. And yes, you were elected to it, but you were elected to do a good job at it, to work with the people. This whole mess, everyone's in a mess. I've got a stack of files and stuff at home, notes from phone calls, emails, and on and on and on. And the people are saying they want us to get this stuff solved and get down to business. We're 3 months behind now on the business of the town and things we could have been doing because of all this hassle. And the library is still in a mess. So I recommend, in my mind, I think, yes, you take the time off, you take your 3 months off, and your pay can go towards paying down all the extra, some of the extra legal costs. And while you're off, sit and start learning how to run a town for the people.
Not for yourself.
Anybody else have any further comments?
That right there was true integrity.
Yep.
Please.
I agree with Pat and David. I think that you had ample time, if it was a true mistake, to come forward or at least tell your counselors that that you're sorry that you did that and you rushed into something you didn't think about. But what it seems to all of us, that it seems it was planned, it wasn't on purpose, not a by accident. So I agree with Pat. Whether you're put on suspension for 3 months or your enumeration is taken for 3 months, one or the other, or both. It's fine with me. And another thing, with the commissioner's report there about accidental and untrained, a lot of time you had Doug, who had a lot of experience in your ear and beside you and helping you along the way. So I think Doug partly responsible for this as well. Maybe not guiding you in the right direction.
Any further, Angela?
I find it really interesting that the letter that went out, that was clearly not even allowed, because it's a good point that you can't have, that you have to have a library board, that it was reviewed and actually like commented on by our lawyer. So had we approved that the mayor go to the lawyer, which we didn't do, but had we would have actually been receiving improper advice, because the lawyer actually did review that. So I think we need to question our lawyer on even their qualifications for having commented on it, because it was like written together, and
Order, please.
the consulting group, the E4M, that also was consulted on it. And had we approved their consultation, that letter would have still gone out with our approval, which should never have happened. Mm-hmm. So had they actually been doing their job, it wouldn't have gone out.
Blame it on the lawyer.
Yes, Jerry.
Did you remember the lawyer's face when we questioned him about this? He was very surprised.
I remember that he said the one question I didn't ask was,
notified.
He said the one question I should have asked was this approved by council?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So, but he still
That was him
approved the
being
letter.
polite.
The letter would have still gone out.
No,
No,
not if it wasn't approved
If it
by all of
if we
council.
had approved, then he would have still allowed it to go out.
We would have seen the letter
He would
then.
have advised that you can't send out that letter because you need to have.
I don't think we can send that letter out anyways.
I don't know, I've still never seen it.
Yeah,
It hasn't come to
And,
council, so I've still never seen the actual letter.
with that, with everything to do with,
Oh, no, I wanted to come to council, not from you.
The actual letter.
No, it comes from the
They
mayor.
also represent, there's only two.
Thank you, David.
in this letter.
David, please sit down. Please sit down. You're gonna be asked to leave. if you don't sit down.
Okay, Doug,
5 times, 207-word letter.
and I don't, point of order. I don't think that, asking for either the 3 months off or the, suspension of pay is, too much to ask for. Because after one of our meetings, a few of us got an email that was, had that.
Thank you.
Said if we were out of order, we could have our stipend taken away or suspended from meetings from the mayor. And then it disappeared from the emails.
Did you three get the letter?
That's called bullying.
Yes.
Huh?
Trying to take control.
So I don't think,
Order, please.
That one I sent down to Toronto.
Yes, I'd like to agree with both Councillor Hughes and Councillor Anderson and Mr. Bridges. And I would like to add, because the day after that letter was sent out, it went out to the media and the radio stations saying that council did this, okay? So I want, as one of the repercussions here, as all the mayor's comments that go to media or social media of any sort be vetted through council and approved. And I want it to be a recorded vote for that too, to see who approved what you're about to say to the media. Because obviously you are inexperienced, and what you did that day, and knowingly that you did not let council know, knowingly did this, okay? 64 days in, you knew that you can't do anything without council approval, and still you went ahead and did it, then said council did it to the media. Didn't correct them. Oh, no, council didn't know about this. No, you let it happen, and you didn't say nothing about it. You let it ride. So all our names are brought down with this because of your behavior. What do you have to say to that? Nothing, no comment?
I don't know what radio or advertising you're talking about. I don't listen to it. Order, please.
Oh, and the CBC one too. That's another one.
Order, David.
In that interview.
False statements made on that too.
David, order. Order.
You want us to get a recording of that and bring it to the next meeting and play it?
Order.
Okay?
Anyways, that's it. I'm done.
Any other further comments? Item 6.2.
Could you bring this to a
Bully in this
voice?
town, because this town's not gonna let you. Stop trying to take over. This isn't your town, it's ours. The people that live here, we pay our taxes. We expect the taxes to be spent on stuff that belongs to the town, not for you to turn around and check for lawyers.
Order, please.
Oh, kiss it. Integrity Commission, okay? Over $60,000.
We're gonna do a 5-minute recess. Please make the call, Dale.
20 years.
Yes. Yep. I'm gonna ask everybody to leave the town hall so that we can proceed with council.
We're paying for your salary and make good decisions, and you're not doing it.
Steve, make the call.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Oh, this would be wonderful to see this in the meeting. Oh. This is how the mayor's not playing as a team player.
Decision on
Right?
this.
She's totally out of touch with what the heck is going on here in this town.
they have,
Somebody here to escort people out.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that either.
Neither do I.
No,
Write me down as no for saying no.
no.
these are the people we're representing here. They have some
These
strong
are the
payers.
people that
They voted-
trust in us,
These are the people that have been hurt.
and they've been hurt by it. And we have no right to do that. And they have been very, very
Patient.
patient.
I know what.
They've been patient for 3 months.
Time, good opportunity, might have. Come clean.
You'll have it, Jerry.
Each year.
40 taxpayers here that want answers. They don't want no comments from the mayor. They want transparency and the truth. And we're not getting it. That's why we keep coming to council. That's why this chaos and crisis continues. So show some responsibility.
And some respect.
Yeah. Yeah, and some respect to the taxpayers are going to be paying for this bill.
You guys have any advice for the mayor on your side?
You're the one that said it. Gave you municipal.
We're going down here.
You approve and you take it in silence, you
I
approve.
don't have to say either way.
We still need an
Make your own
apology.
decisions.
Also can overrule the mayor.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Why don't we pass a motion?
Or at least an admittance.
Yes, I agree.
Why are there 3 councillors on the library board? And one did the job?
That's screwing the light bulb. Screw the light bulb? No.
Never I saw staff in my life. Transparency.
Mayor says we can make a motion.
Transparency.
Motion to override the mayor. That's what Gary said, yeah. Bigelow.
We are the lack of the tri-cap.
Yeah, you would know the rules.
We're not from Ontario.
No, we are not the mayor.
Can we make a motion?
We're in recess right now.
Down south.
Our motion is to cancel that recess. We don't need no cops here.
And I don't get asked
We
about
don't
it.
need cops here.
And people don't come up to me saying, what is going on in Cobalt? It's embarrassing. And we have a history of innovation and problem solving in this community, and we're being dragged down.
Mhm.
We should listen to them. We're the one which, they're the one.
I would like to know why the mayor is carrying the meeting when the discussion is about the mayor. Because there's no real, because that was not a clear conflict of interest, I don't know what is. It's a bullying practice.
Five-minute recess, can I go to Washington?
And support the people. What are you doing here?
It's still there. Yeah, it's still working. I know. Oh, no, we're good. We're good.
Is there a 5 minutes left?
That's why I don't know why.
You want this library thing? I'm resigning.
I don't know why you take your job. Who wants the job?
I have another option.
I'm out. You want a church?
The job should have been posted anyways.
Yeah.
Posted before.
Appropriate to make a motion that we continue on with our meeting with our audience.
Yeah, but it should have gone out to the public again. It's a new posting because people thought it was over.
Pardon?
See, the thing was,
I asked if recess was over, 5 minutes is up.
they go after Doug and Doug puts back in the word again.
right?
As soon as Dale gets back to her seat.
That was my thought. We're not going anywhere, but you know what? I am. I might be done with this year.
I know.
I don't need the stress.
My wife doesn't.
I might be the end of council.
As soon as our deputy clerk comes back to her seat, then I'd like to make a motion, okay?
I was watching this in
There you go.
What?
Can you record this then? You got it? Okay. Then I would like to make a motion that we continue on with this meeting. We continue on with the presence of our residents who are very, very concerned about all of this. And if the OPP require, they may stand in the doorway and watch the meeting too. But to me, if they're from out of town, that's an embarrassment to us that they're going to stand there and listen to anymore.
What, they're on their way here? Are they on their way here?
They're not scared of the cops.
Are they, no, are they on their way here? I want to know, because we're paying for this. You guys are paying for the.
Yeah, you guys are paying for it too. So, do I have a seconder for this motion that we can?
So you're paying for the cops to come in and arrest you?
Yeah. Let's keep going.
Meeting's not going.
Second it.
I would support allowing the people to stay as long as they can conduct themselves appropriately. If they continue to yell and disrupt the meeting, then they have to leave.
I think they have a right to voice themselves.
They don't
To a
have
certain
a
extent.
right to
Okay.
disrupt
There's a
their
lot of
Um,
emotion involved here. You can expect people raising their voices.
Councillor Hunter has asked that she will support continuing the meeting if you guys listen and, keep control too. Okay?
We would like.
We had the 5-minute break. We need to get on with this,
We would
okay?
like the councillors to speak louder, not just
Okay,
every councillor, please.
yeah.
Yeah, those good mics.
Mhm. Okay. So, I made the motion.
I'll
Councillor
second it.
Cooper.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Thank you.
Now,
How would council like staff to move forward with the Integrity Commissioner report?
I will make the motion that I would like to see you take the 3 months off without pay, your pay to be put towards various legal fees that have come up, and that during that time, you read, study, and learn how to lead a council and a town. As the leader, as listening to the people, not as deciding this is what I want to do and you just go ahead and do it. Because it's time, as soon as we can get through this, the next thing we need to do is to sit down and figure out what we are going to do, what things we want to do during this administration, like our legal team suggested to us. But we have had absolutely no opportunity to do that.
So your motion,
My motion is
3 months off.
3 months off and your pay go to legal fees. Do I have a seconder?
Who's seconding that?
Sorry, yeah.
Jim? All in favor of that?
The whole town here is in favor of it.
All opposed?
So recorded
No.
vote? Recorded vote?
Unfortunately, if
Recorded
you
vote, please?
don't vote,
Yep.
then that's taken as an
Well,
opposing.
I'd like to propose a different option.
Okay,
You know,
Didn't have
I'm open for
discussion.
that, yes.
Well, we just.
You know, we don't want to cause anybody any financial hardship. But, stop.
You promised me?
What would you be comfortable with? A month, 2 months, 3 months? Like, can you throw something out there? There has to be some type of penalty.
Now whether it's 3 months or 1 month,
I'm not sure if it's fair.
is it a negotiation or?
What the punishment should be, though.
What do you mean the fine?
I don't think we should ask Maida what her punishment should be.
Doug? Order, please.
Does anybody else have any ideas? Like,
Trying to. It's just getting a little loud to try and talk, that's all.
Okay, go ahead, Doug.
And I'll get there in a moment.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Your Worship. I understand there are a lot of people who are upset and disappointed. We all get that. And that's very plain. But the matter was referred to an integrity commissioner who did an investigation. Their job is to give an unbiased third-party report based on their experience with similar situations throughout the province of Ontario. Not unlike a judge in a court who will hear a charge and he will know what the range of penalties generally imposed are, and he will follow that group of penalties. In this instance, the integrity commissioner is saying it was a mistake, it was wrong, it was a breach of the code of conduct. It is, in her opinion, because it was done with the best interests of the town at heart. Those might have been mistaken in that venue, but nonetheless, that is her opinion. And in her findings, she is simply saying that because of the situation, in part because of the inexperience, that she doesn't see that anything further other than the reprimand contained in this be done. And that is the kind of a settlement that you would find throughout the province for a similar breach of misconduct. So on that basis, I would move that we accept the report as submitted.
No deal.
Yes, sir.
She had a lot of your influence.
Could
on
we
this.
see if I got a seconder for my motion first?
Okay. No,
Anybody second Doug's motion to accept?
We still have the original motion on the table.
Or was it voted on and defeated?
No, it's a tie.
We went back to discussion.
Tie is a
And it
defeat.
went back to
When Harry wanted to lead discussion, so.
Actually, Harry didn't vote, so that means it goes as a no. I mean, a yes, it goes with yes, no.
No,
This
no,
side.
it goes with a no one.
Goes to the no side. You might remember that from when we were picking library people. If it's a
Anyways,
tie,
the,
it fails.
The integrity commissioner's opinion doesn't count too much, and I think there's a bit of a code of conduct there because they recommend more training, and they're charging us for the training, so
That's right.
that kind of negates that, I think. So I think I'm gonna go back to our original motion, and there's no leeway there. That's it.
Oh, your original motion didn't get approved, so it's failed.
Doug, you're next, bud.
Could I see if we have a seconder for my motion?
Do we have a seconder for Doug's motion?
Could you repeat the whole motion?
The motion was to accept the integrity commissioner's report.
As submitted.
Is that what we're doing right now? Is that the whole point of this? Because right now we're on Councillor Anderson discussion, right? Or the council discussion of integrity commissioner report, 6.1.
Yep.
What he's asking is that for a seconder for the motion, no penalty.
Well, not precisely. No, I'm asking that the whole report be accepted
Yeah,
as presented.
We like the sounds of the report until the last line where it says no penalty. That's their opinion, mind you. That's not part of the report.
I'll second that we accept the report as presented.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor of accepting the report of Doug's motion to accept the integrity commissioner report as presented? Four.
Or is there any more discussion on that?
Yeah, lots of discussion.
Do you have any discussion?
Yeah, I accept the report. It's a great report. It says that that's only their opinion at the end, so we don't have to accept their opinion as no punishment. That's up to us as a council to discuss. And don't forget, you're discussing, don't forget, everyone, that you're discussing and you're voting for the town, not for your own self.
Sorry, Your Worship, number 2 in the agenda here was disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. I didn't see you say I have a pecuniary interest or a conflict here. So you didn't declare that, and you're in there on the vote. You do clearly have a pecuniary interest in this because we're going to take your pay away for 3. We're trying to. So it's because it's only the right thing to do because the rest of Ontario is watching us, and the new mayors are probably salivating right now. Oh, look what I can get away with that 64 days. Let's slip her through, and still get away with it.
Yeah, I was raised where if I did something wrong, I was punished, and I didn't do it again.
We got conflict right here. That's good. That's going to be another integrity.
Some of them.
More the lawyers cost. It's going to cost our doctors this.
Any other discussion on this?
Here we go.
I'd like to raise a new motion.
We have to defeat this one.
Okay.
We could approve it. Yeah.
Good.
Vote on this.
All in favor?
Accepting the report as presented, because we can't
No,
change
because
it.
Doug has it tied into the end there. He's going with the no punishment on this motion, so be careful. You can shoot it down, it's
That's what it says in
done.
the report, so I don't accept the report
I don't
as
either.
being fair enough.
Except for
As being,
95%.
I don't either. It's full of inaccuracies.
yeah,
too.
95% of it, yeah.
Ask for the vote then.
All in favor of accepting Doug's motion to accept the Integrity Commissioner's report as presented?
Can you please record the vote too, please? Thank you.
All opposed?
No, that's not how you record a vote.
Opposed to the report, right?
You would read out the names one at a time.
Doug.
For,
Angela?
No, then.
Barry?
Opposed.
Pat?
Opposed?
Gary?
Opposed.
Thank you.
I think you can't bring the same motion up again,
Any other discussion? How do we want to move forward on this?
I'm gonna do 3 months less. And that's $1.
Angela?
Could we consider consequences at a future time?
No. So you have a motion to what?
4 years from now?
Wait till we see the invoice? Can we wait till we see the invoice? Like, if it's $2,000, then it's too much.
We need a second
So
on the
yeah, I'll motion to defer.
motion to defer to the next committee of the whole? To when?
Can we make decisions during committee of the whole?
Probably next.
No, it'd be the next.
And then it goes another month.
So we could discuss it at the committee of the whole of different options.
So motion to defer to when?
Well, yeah,
Make your decision
to
now.
discuss at the next committee of the whole and then make the decision following.
The next committee of the whole?
Sure.
Now.
Well, it'll be regular
Anyone
meeting.
want to second that motion? Order, please. Anybody want to second Angela's motion?
I'll second it because I'd like to hear why.
Well, I think we could discuss other possibilities. I know that there could be other, like, considerable amount of volunteer work contributed to different things.
That has nothing to do with it.
Well, that's not true. The library has a massive backlog of books that need to be processed.
Yeah, they can't hear you to begin with. It's not fair.
I think there could be a volunteer work that could be allotted. So volunteer hours contributing to something specific. There's other ways to pay it back.
Volunteer hours don't matter.
Order, please.
Volunteers don't matter in Cobalt. That's good to hear.
Exactly.
Order, please.
6 of them out.
Oh, you volunteer, but don't put any hours. It doesn't matter how much you volunteer.
Any other discussion on this motion? Pat?
On your thing, volunteers. We supposedly threw 6 very good volunteers out of the library. That's, yes, there will be, you can bet the boots, there's going to be volunteers in this library going back in and helping getting it sorted out. That is not the point of this, that we substitute what our mayor did with let's go in and do volunteer hours. They're 2 totally different things.
How can a very good volunteer board not have any financials for an entire year that they're responsible for?
I can get into that. And the
Stay on,
next.
guys, stay on topic,
This
please.
sounds more like it's for the library board.
Stay on
meeting, not
topic,
for us.
please. Stay on topic.
It's not what problems might have been there. It was up to our library representative to let us know if there was something. And obviously, if there was in camera, but that didn't happen either. So my next thing would be that I want him to step
You get a
down.
seconder on that one?
Yes, you did, Doug did.
We voting?
The motion is to defer till next committee of the whole meeting. Recorded vote.
No.
Doug, for or against?
For.
Angela,
What's the entire motion?
this is your motion to defer till next
Right,
committee.
to defer, then yes, because we've had so much conversation.
Harry?
Against?
Yeah.
Against?
Against.
Then what do you propose?
I'd like to,
We need to get this done now.
I would like to propose a motion.
Gary?
My motion is 3 months, less a day. And your pay will go to pay back the legal fees, just like the first one, just less a day, so we can change the, language on it, so I can do it.
I'll second it.
Get it down to 2 days and 3 days.
Any discussion?
Penalty.
Well, then what do you propose,
I
Gary?
proposed a month.
Hold on, there's a motion right now for 3 months less a day.
Recorded vote?
Recorded vote. Doug?
Opposed?
Angela?
Propose.
Harry?
Opposed to 3.
Jim?
For.
Pat?
For. I said for. I'm for it.
You're for it.
I'm for it, yes. It's your
Against.
turn. You're against it?
Yeah,
I don't know, we're doing ours, mine now.
ours, okay, sorry, for.
There's so many motions. And motion sickness.
I know, yeah.
Pat? And the motion is tied, therefore defeated. Moving on, any other discussion on this?
What would you like to suggest?
Let's do 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah, yeah.
Your
2
motion
months
is?
plus
Yeah,
pay?
put a motion for 2 months. Obviously, we're not gonna agree on one,
2
we're not
months
gonna
of
agree
what
on 3.
exactly?
As an average.
What exactly?
Stipend,
Go on, and what else?
that's it. Just stipend.
Didn't we have 2 things?
2
I
months?
don't know if we can actually,
3 months out and the stipend.
well, I don't know if we can
Hold on,
actually,
we need a seconder, please.
What is it? 2 months?
2 months
Stipend.
and 2 months out of
I don't think we
action.
can do that.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in
Do
the,
up to 3 months without any
it's up
problems.
to 3 months post
We need a seconder on this motion, please.
Can you read it back to us so that we know exactly?
Yeah,
what
there's
we're
too
voting?
much stipend.
Can we have exact confirmation of what we're?
It's not gonna
voting?
learn sitting at home.
I need a confirmation.
Pat wanted to do some studying.
I
That's
need a
what was
confirmation.
recommended.
She's at home all except 5 hours a month, so.
I need a confirmation. Read it out loud what we're doing.
Currently, the motion from Harry is for 2 months stipend.
And
I had nothing else to that.
you had nothing else, but we do.
We were shot down.
We need a seconder on the motion to discuss.
We could discuss. We just wait and discuss.
Angela seconds the motion, please.
So you can now discuss.
Okay, can you make sure that he's heard it properly? 2 months plus the stipend.
Yeah, but just 2 months on the stipend.
Okay. Yeah, but no, she can't vote for 2 months either. She's out. It's mayor too.
Well,
Well,
it's shooting me off of her duty.
Out here.
You're not gonna learn by sitting at home. Right?
You're not gonna screw nothing up sitting at home either.
Recorded vote. Doug?
Opposed?
Are we?
Angela?
With an explanation.
Oh, sorry.
As much as I appreciate everybody's comments about there must be a penalty, I think even 2 months is exceptional. I don't think that's appropriate. I might contemplate 3 months less 90 days.
Deterrent for all of you, not just the mayor.
Order, please. Angela?
Sure,
Sure, what,
I'll support it.
so you're for?
Yeah, we'll get it this time.
Those will be here all night.
Yeah.
Carrie?
Four.
Jim?
4.
Pat?
Or,
Carrie?
Against.
Gary's out for blood.
I was going 3 months.
So we have Harry, Jim, Pat, for, Doug, Gary, against, and,
Gary against.
Angela was for.
Doug's for.
sorry, Angela.
Doug was for, I think. Oh, no, you were against, that's right.
Yeah, Doug was against.
Pat was for as well.
Angela, Harry, Jim, and Pat are for 2 month stipend.
Hey, okay, I might have got confused on the motion there.
Motion is passed.
Here all
It's like
night.
trying to buy you.
Here all night. and kept me free.
All right, so, you got that? I don't mind wasting the night because we've been wasting 3 months, so a night's nothing for me to waste right now.
nothing on that sheet, okay.
I find this gross when we talk this misconduct. This isn't just like, oh, whoops.
Thank you.
I know. Looks like we beat.
Item, moving forward, item 6.2, Councillor Anderson, discussion of library liaison, Councillor Library Liaison.
Yeah. Someone said really hate to do this. But you
Order,
have,
please.
you have served
Nice and loud, Pat.
admirably over the years, guarding the library for many years. But in these last few months, I personally and many, many people out there feel that you have failed us and the library. I'm now aware through the public sending meetings, statements, stuff like this, that there were many problems since coming up in the library when the CEO was off, and many, many changes taking place there, whether it was at the pleasure of the mayor or whether it was the interim CEO there doing it. But so many things happened and things just didn't go right. Now, back in December, just before Santa Claus time and everything, you did ask to make us, be put on the agenda to say something about the library. So you talked about the fun Christmas stuff. At that point, and I think even before that, you should have, considering what you would have should have been saying, asked to be put on in camera to give the whole council a heads up as to the problems we're spouting out there in the month or 6 weeks or more before that. I don't know how long they were going on. It's your job to keep us abreast of the library. Yes, we couldn't go in and put down our foot and say, hey, but we are the funders of the library. And we deserve to know what's going on, because those people in the end deserve to know that, okay, if it's personnel, if it's this, if it's that, if it's any number of things, if we say, I'm sorry, but legally, we have to discuss this in camera and see if we can do anything to fix it. Our townspeople will accept that, because they've heard the rules over the years as to what can and can't be said in open council. So there was that opportunity in December, which I really would have appreciated hearing, because I was starting to get phone calls then. In January, was at the 17th meeting, I believe. Anyway, you did ask when the agenda was being approved, you did ask if you could put library on in camera. Our good mayor, the only part of the comment I got sitting at the table, and later on when I brought up Zoom again and re-listened to that council meeting, all I heard was later. And we deferred saying yes to the sitting board because we knew that there was things we needed to hear. And then either you didn't push it and or should have pushed it sometime during the meeting, and the mayor just ignored it and nothing happened and we still didn't hear anything. But what I'm trying to say is the people have lost faith in you that way. And I know, I will say, he's served a long time. He's really looked after the library, but they have lost faith in you. I know at least one person who did not volunteer when we had to go out and call for a new library board, said no, because you're sitting on it. One person has indicated that even though they were put on the library board, they quit because they didn't want to work with you. Another one on the sitting board, I was told 2 weeks ago, and talking to that person in person, and is considering leaving because you're sitting on there. Now, we do have a library board that is, in my opinion, too heavily full of counsel. I would ask if you would step back from your position, even if it's for a few months until we get ourselves past this whole bloody mess. Step back from the position, and our very next meeting, we vote on the one person that's sitting in the wings, and that's a person with historical background, because I think many people here know that the whole historical, our town's history part of the library, all those papers, those pictures and everything, are now sitting in piles, unprotected from the UV lights, and all in a mess because they were just all piled up. You know, there's someone with historical background that's been working with the Historical Society and would be the next person to volunteer and set up a group of historical volunteers to help get that part sorted out. And that's why I'm saying, would you step back and put that person, allow that person to come on the board, and let's get through this. And down the line, I would say down the line, when things are settled out, and if that board is aware, okay, then we could, that board could then look at asking for you back.
Angela.
I'd like to make a motion that that person then be allowed to take their position, and that we replace the 3 councillors with Councillor Pat Anderson as the library liaison, so that she can.
Excuse me, just to clarify. You have a motion to replace Doug with Councillor Anderson?
Doug, myself, and Councillor Cooper,
Yeah.
with Pat and the woman who's waiting, and then we can advertise for the last position, but they'll still have the 5 they need to move forward.
No, that's too many councillors on there.
There won't be any. We're removing ourselves.
All
And
3?
we're putting you. The other woman could go on. That leaves 1 open position. We can advertise to the public and fill it. So you still have an operating board because you need a minimum of 5, so you'll have it. And Pat will be the liaison, and she can read all the notes.
Is council privy to this other person sitting in the wings, Pat?
Yes, we all.
Yes, we discussed her. Gee, you forgot last meeting, eh? Yes.
Robin?
Mr. Cooper.
Second that motion.
We have more discussion, no more discussion on
Well,
this?
we have to have second it to discussion.
But he's involved too.
Pat never
Shouldn't
volunteered.
That doesn't matter.
Isn't he involved
You
too
just
when you
kicked
should
Harry
be
off
asked?
the board.
You just kicked Harry off the board? No, I don't.
Seconding
I
that.
don't know if he even wants to be
I'm
on
not
the
seconding
board.
it. Oh, wait.
You don't have to support it to second it.
Let me resign on my own.
You dismissed.
There's no seconders. Excuse me.
Right.
Like I've always said, if anybody wants the position, I'll step down. Like, I've said that right from the get-go.
Is there any seconder on the motion from Councilor Anderson? Pat, is there a seconder on the motion?
So even Pat doesn't want it. Okay.
Defeated. Doug, do you have anything to say? What Pat has said.
Just a few finer points. You're quite correct about my making 2 attempts to get into a closed discussion.
Yes.
How to phrase this? When you were on the library board, you were a director with full responsibilities under the Public Libraries Act, which includes maintaining the closed session comments and actions and discussion within that group. I can't come to you and disclose those discussions because I'm a director on the library board and I have to follow their rules as far as closed meetings go. I tried to come here and I was still willing to do it under a closed meeting, but our integrity commissioner pointed out that the Municipal Act does not allow us to go into closed session to discuss the affairs of another corporation. So if I were to have come in and started talking to you, it would have to have been in open session. And I was not prepared to do that because of the numbers of persons and the laws regarding privacy and protection for employees and that sort of thing. So it's really between a rock and a hard place. Also, currently there are some legal matters still underway, and I would be hesitant to say anything until those are completed, not wanting to prejudice the investigations that are happening. And for those reasons, uncomfortable as it is, I really can't say a whole lot.
Oh, I didn't realize the conundrum you were in.
I'm still there.
What I'm doing is reflecting the number of people that have expressed their opinion. And the ones that could have been on the board, might have volunteered and said, no, they weren't because the one that indicated that that was one of the reasons why she went off. And another board member that's not sure about saying because that's why I'm saying, would you step back? Well, this is getting sorted out.
Well, I will consult with the library board and see what they wish.
But the
current library
would you
board,
consult
Helen.
with have the library board here?
That was all closed session stuff.
No.
Order, please.
Yeah. Council's got to be in charge of that, not really library board. So do you have a yes or a no answer for that, Doug? Would you resign library board liaison?
No, at the moment, no.
Okay. All right.
I will refer to the library board and see what their wishes are.
They're not in charge of the library board, though.
The library board isn't in charge of the
We're
library.
appointing the library board, and we're
The
in charge of
liaison
this.
is comes.
We're in charge of dismissal of the library.
One at a time, please.
We can pass a motion maybe next meeting, or this meeting, I don't know.
You could, but I am also a director of the library board.
It'll be also a big problem there too. It's making things
Order,
difficult. Very difficult.
I was the council liaison
Representing the town.
2010 to 2014. I'm here tonight to ask Councillor Wilcox to be removed from the Cobalt Paul Panna Library Board. You've done nothing to bring the temperature down on this issue. It's put the town and its citizens in a bad light. Councillor Wilcox, you needed to show professionalism and leadership with regards to the library board, and you've done neither. The second library chair resigned, And her resignation letter clearly stated, your negative actions led to her resignation. I have that letter, I don't have it with me tonight, but a lot of people are privy to what was in it. The second board chair, Trina Goddenbrook. Councillor Wilcox, you spoke about a personnel matter with the former library CAO, which is clearly not the role of your council liaison position. That should have been the library board. You talked to the former CAO about an issue, and that was in Amber's, it was in the letter, it's right here. Please do the right thing and resign as the library liaison and put this all to rest and do the right thing for the people of Cobalt. That library should be open. There should be an Easter egg hunt. It should have been open on the March break for the kids of Cobalt. That was a leadership. That's what we're asking. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Jim?
I just want to point out, I want to apologize to the public because I was absent from the last meeting. As some of you may know, I'm a transit driver, and right now the transit is pretty fragile with its skeletal crew. And that was a very short notice meeting called last week. It was called a special meeting, and which had library things to obviously done, but there's no recording of this meeting either. But I'm unavailable to be. I made it possible. They've made it possible for me to attend these meetings the first and third Tuesdays of the month. So the other weeks in between, I have to do an afternoon shift. Okay, so it's next to impossible for me to get to a short notice meeting, and that it's in the evening like this. So I just want you guys to know that, and I still don't know what happened in that meeting, other than hearsay from people. There's no recording of it, conveniently. So I really don't know exactly what happened in that meeting, and I would like to know. And I believe that the liaison is here. Maybe you could explain what happened in that meeting, because I'm still confused and so like, oh, what? Because I like the real story, because there's no recording of it. And I was unable to attend, and council and the mayor and staff knows my schedule because I've emailed them all telling them when I am available to do a meeting. I'm not saying nothing to that, but that's it. That's all I got to say. What happened? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, there was no official meeting minutes, and John wasn't here. This is a short notice.
Yeah, so I'm still
Anything to say on that, Doug?
I'm in the dark.
Not a great deal to say. The meeting was posted in accordance with the rules of council. 24-hour notice.
I got to it later. I did under 24 because by the time I get to it, I'm driving. I can't be checking emails and stuff when I'm driving.
I've been listening closely to everybody here tonight, and there's a very clear interest in having the library open and running as quickly as possible. And that was part of what stirred that event, because there was a resignation involved. Things were going south in a hurry again, and we wanted to install a board that could act as quickly as possible. That was why the shorter notice. It's unfortunate, but it happens to all of us at different times, Jim.
But I was under the impression that only one counselor was needed to move things forward, and you ended up putting 2 more counselors on?
2 more counselors plus a volunteer person who'd done extraordinary work.
And leaving a volunteer.
How did it go from 1 to 3 all of a sudden in that same meeting? I'm trying to understand this.
Again, to get it through this current mess that it's in, basically we all just want to be there, make the decisions that need to be made, and get the library functioning again. That's why we're there.
One person. How did it get up to that number?
The problem there, Jim, is that every time we've gone with just one person, one with just 5 members, and somebody resigns, we're right back behind the 8 ball. We no longer have a board. We're down to 4 members, so we can't do anything. And we wanted to avoid that situation again because getting it fixed is urgent.
Because of too much political interference. That's why you're losing members, board members. Come on, Doug, you know that.
Order, please.
I hear that. I don't believe that, and I have not seen that, David. At this council, at every library meeting, I have all, okay, enough. Not going to participate in that.
A woman called me the other day, and she asked if she could put her name forward for the library board, and I told her to go ahead and she'd be perfect, she's got young children and everything, and then she said, oh no, it's too messy, it's too crazy on the library board. I said, no, please, put your name forward. She called, I think she called the town office, and she got put off, so I don't know. Are you accepting board members?
So with regard to the discussion of the council library liaison, how are we going to move forward on this?
Are you going to?
Are we accepting
Doug?
volunteers?
I have offered to speak to the library board and see what they would wish. That's as far as,
The town's is wishing
I'm
right now.
talking about the library board, of which I am a member.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I really like the library board we have now. They're a very positive group.
It's stacked in your favor. You made everyone else quit, Doc. Everyone else. You shouted at me last week. Why can't I have a turn of shouting?
Order, please.
You've made everyone that didn't have your own opinion quit. You stacked the board with all your favors. So it's not really a library board anymore.
That is incorrect.
More like a mob.
There's your mob.
And I would like to know why that job to go onto the board wasn't reposted, because I don't think the public really understood that this was up for grabs again because of what happened. It was already picked. So all of a sudden you're picking the members in a live council meeting rather than I don't see any posts. We're looking for board members.
The Public Libraries Act was broken. You're supposed to advertise positions.
Order, David.
You did not advertise positions
I just don't
at the last council
understand
meeting. You self-appointed.
why
two
you're saying
councilors.
that he has
Order.
an agenda when I don't even know what his agenda is, other than to like hire the next CEO and get the library running. So you
Is that the new
seem
agenda?
to be claiming that there's an agenda, but there isn't even an agenda other than just trying to get the doors open. So I'm not sure what the agenda is that you're
Well,
speaking about that he apparently has.
you take a little further, Angela.
Well, I was at the meeting,
Yeah, well, I know.
so
You're on the board.
yeah, and it was all about how do we get these doors open. So
And we can't open the doors to a dysfunctional library. It's not gonna fix itself. And this library thing is what costs us way too much time, stress.
you guys keep talking
Money.
about it.
We have to keep talking about it because nothing's been fixed.
How do you want it to be fixed if you don't have a board to pay your people? We're just trying to like.
In my opinion, none of this should track right back to like January. The old board should never have been fired in the first place. We should avoid all this crap. 3 months of crap. We broke the law, we broke everything, we broke rule, we broke everything. Screwed it. Right from the beginning. And we haven't come back. We're
So-
never gonna get back.
How do we want to move forward with this? Angela?
I'll second that.
What?
Motion for Pat for council liaison.
We're back. Pat doesn't want it.
Pat would have to volunteer for it.
No. Why does she have to volunteer if we all pass the motion?
Doug's not gonna vote for that.
Force her to do it.
He doesn't need the stress.
She can pass a motion to have Doug take it off the library board. I think.
It has been put forward, I can discuss it.
I'll resign right now.
No,
We can pass it, we
I
can do a
would
motion
prefer
and vote
not
on it.
not to go on as another replacement, because that would still be
Too many counselors.
too many counselors, 3 counselors.
Only Pat. No, just Pat. Just
Poor
temporary.
Pat.
Just temporary.
You guys are trying to kill Pat.
Pat volunteers.
He's honest.
What did you do to deserve that?
Really?
You're busy enough.
I listen, yes, I'm busy.
She's
enough.
working
I
on the
listen to
budget,
them.
guys.
One at a time, Gary.
Yes.
Sorry,
Sorry, Pat. My fault.
Order, please.
in transit.
No, what I was suggesting, what I kept suggesting was that there's a perceived problem, it could be corrected. But I would personally like to see it go down to 2 counselors on the
Well, why don't
committee.
we
if
do a
we could.
motion, and we're doing motions tonight, so it's a motion night.
And
Have a motion, I'll vote.
Order, please. Order.
Motion, Ed?
yeah, what happened to Coleman?
Going crazy with it.
Order.
We also had Marilyn Lubbock. I could take 2 counselors out.
Gary,
Robin
what's
and
your motion?
Marilyn. Well, I should probably work on it a little bit better. This kind of came to me. I'm gonna put a motion in that Doug is replaced on the library board by Robin, since we know she's interested still.
Yeah.
And also, there's Marilyn Lubbock. I'm not sure on the feedback there, but she was also in line from Coleman's representative to go onto our board. We can get rid of 2 counselors that way. But,
Can I say something?
oh, we should probably have Marilyn maybe.
Marilyn I spoke to Marilyn was told by their council that she was not to go in because there was too much conflict.
Yeah.
And until it settles down.
Maybe we'll wait then on that.
So currently, what's your
My
motion?
motion is to replace Doug as the board member.
Now,
Yes. Robin Galbraith or whatever.
So,
Coleman, because she'll
No,
do it.
No,
she
we'll
won't
wait,
come
we gotta
until-
keep, we hold her name.
excuse me.
But then Harry said he'll back out later.
I need a seconder on the motion.
Okay, I'll second it.
Record the vote, I guess.
And then read the motion.
Currently, Councillor Gary has put a motion forward to replace Doug with the,
Robin Galbraith.
what's your last name? Robin Gabriel. And one of the other applicants for the board members. Be recorded vote.
We have more discussion on this?
Absolutely.
My only concern with this is that we, as a new board, he's the only piece left to a lot of the information that we are getting. You know, because there's missing minutes and everything else.
I don't think we can do any worse than we have.
Order.
It would be just like starting a new library. Yeah, so
Paint job, everything.
you want us to take that task on? Hold on.
Any other discussion on the motion? Doug, how do you vote on this?
He doesn't vote, I don't think.
Certainly does.
You can vote if you want to stay or not.
He certainly can.
This is very liberal.
No,
Hey, right there, it says procedural bylaw. You should read it.
I think I voted.
You should.
Pecuniary interest.
You read the code of conduct.
With respect to your worship,
Yes,
I
no.
suspect what council is trying to do to remove a director of the library board is probably against the Public Library Act.
Is it probably, or not sure? Do we have that?
No, I'm sure. I'm sorry, bad words. It is against the Public Library Act. And they give a number of instances where you can do, and this isn't one of them.
I wish I had more experience, Doug.
I do too, Gary. I really do.
See, I was very looking forward to working with you this council. As I told you, remember at the beginning, when we first met, got to know each other, how I was really looking to pull
Order,
from
please.
your knowledge.
Order, please. Come on.
We're having a conversation.
I know, but he's like getting a personal attacks here.
Everything's been super unprofessional.
You're right, especially on your side.
My side,
Your
I'm not on the
council
side.
leader.
Okay,
Side of the town?
Doug, would you consider stepping down as the liaison?
As I've explained, I will consider talking it over with my library board. The library board I'm on.
All right, move on.
Angela?
Mayor Gibson, since you appoint the library liaison, would you consider?
Order!
Listen to them.
Angela?
Your worship, I don't believe that it's up to the library board to decide who the liaison is. It's generally up to the mayor to appoint it. So would you please appoint someone else? And I do think I would support you appointing someone else, I would like that.
Would council be opposed from me receiving feedback from the board on this matter?
Vote on. I'll vote on it.
As a
How
board,
soon?
At the next meeting?
When's the next meeting?
So I would like feedback.
well, as a board member, I would like it to be changed.
I just want to clear something up. Didn't we put you on, didn't we council vote
Yeah, we
on
voted them on.
you to
Yeah.
be liaison?
No,
We didn't? I thought we did.
No, that's an appointment from the mayor.
That was done like back in January.
You disappointed? Did you run it through council first?
Doesn't have to be according to municipal act.
Vote them off now.
I guess the mayor has to do that. It's not, we can't.
Councillor Angela, would you consider becoming the liaison for the library?
Would Harry consider
Nope.
being the liaison?
Absolutely not.
Harry won't. Can we make Pat the liaison?
Well, I was born in 19. How about Gary?
And then have to go on the board. And he's not leaving the board. We're just talking liaison now. I want him off the board.
Gary, would you like to sit on a board, seeing as how you're not on any board currently?
Yeah, I was looking for a good board to get on.
Want to get on the library board?
Yes. Sure.
Beautiful. Councillor Cooper, would you be willing to step down for Councillor Hughes?
Absolutely.
Yes, but then it was
This point was brought up against.
so it's
Nice one.
Are
all
we
steps.
So I'm
the last
gonna make a
alarm?
motion for that. Somebody make a motion for that.
But he agreed to step, a motion that we accept Councillor Hughes. A motion that we accept Councillor Hughes to the library board.
Do I get a second on that? Jim?
Thanks, Gary.
You don't need the stress right now. You're still healing.
And are we going to be able to approve of adding the one extra volunteer to the board?
Well, we still have 3 councilors.
We're still kind of shooting ourselves.
So currently the motion is to accept Councillor Hughes substituted for Councillor Cooper. He's actually on the board. Big spot.
No, but for the council liaison, to report to
That's
council.
awful. It's gonna last a 10.
The liaison as well.
Yeah. What do we have to do to put that last volunteer on there?
You just have to wait a little bit.
Hold on a second, please.
Doug's got to talk to the library board.
Because I really want that historian on there. Get her to start doing her.
So the current motion is to, motion to accept Councillor Hughes for Councillor Cooper, who would be stepping down and and Councillor Hughes would become the new council liaison. Councillor Wilcox, how do you vote on that?
Oh, we don't.
Why not?
Payback. eh?
Angela?
Okay.
Carried.
In favor?
For it.
In favor?
No, I'll approve.
Carried. Perfect. Okay. Moving on, item 6.3, mining museum. Request for financial assistance.
I'm currently vice chair of the library, and I've been trying to do everything to, keep things going. After getting the letter from Trina saying that Doug is the one that pretty much started all of this with going to the board. But yeah, like sorry, Gary, I resign. So I can't work with you, Doug, and I look forward to an opportunity if there's an opening.
Can we wait till Doug talks to the library board and then maybe put your resignation
But
in?
as you said, like, look at the library board in certain ways, like, I don't, like, this is just too much, all right?
Because I'd like the opportunity to work with you.
Right now, my wife and I are trying to arrange Easter Tuesday, so we can still give out the Easter hunts with Melissa. But no, like, this all started here, and that, I can't be part of that. And I made that clear when I thought this was a decision maybe made with good intentions by the mayor. I still said this was done wrong. I talked about how I have problems with my transit spot, but I can't burn down the stop because I don't like how things are not being dealt with. This is a similar situation. Doug had no ability to destroy one board and then another, and then our chair has now quit. Okay, like, I was left in the position of trying to working as acting chair. This is an impossible thing for me. I do not want to work with him. So I'm out until he removes himself from the board. Thank you.
I didn't hear the vote. How many people are gonna quit before you turn around and finally resign?
Why would you want?
6 for me.
Yeah, you like it.
No, liaison and board member, yeah.
Okay, moving on. Thank you. Cobalt Mining Museum request for financial order, please. Cobalt Mining Museum request for financial assistance. Has anybody have any discussion on that? Pat?
Yes. As a member of the budget committee,
Order, please.
this will have to be tabled for now. Things are unbelievably tight. So it's going to have to be tabled until all the budget discussions are done to see if or how much we could ever do. Everything is incredibly tight.
Just to get it off, you need to get a bit.
With the, this is for the Cobalt Mining Museum, their request for funding, and as member of the budget committee, I'm saying this is going to have to sit and wait while we crunch numbers. The budget this year is incredibly tight. So it will be a while before we say yes, no, maybe, this. So it's got to be tabled for now until, but that's generally the way it goes anyway, that the applications come in and then we discuss them through budget time. But just a warning for people.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay.
Is council okay with that?
Turn it off.
Did we talk about this or? Can't talk about it?
Well, you can talk about
Do
their.
you have anything else any more discussion on that, Jim?
I just wanted to point out this, the mining museum is quite important to our existence. Like, this is the reason people come to Cobalt, right? So I know we don't know, we haven't done the budget yet, so we're not quite sure what we have to work with, but I sure would love to see them get this. I would like to see them get it, but I know we have to go through the budget still. So just, I wanted to say I'm in favor of it because I support them completely. And I hear they're doing renovations there too. We're gonna get some. It's gonna be great.
I got rid of my money.
Okay, moving on. Order, please. Item 6.4, Cobalt Water Commission, re-advertised for members. Staff has requested to defer. Speak on that, Steve?
Yes, Your Worship. Staff right now wants to prepare a historical package to go to the public when we're requesting the applications for the Water Commission. So,
Is council okay with deferring?
Mhm.
Yeah. How long would you need approximately?
we would like at least a month because right now staff is currently working on budget.
So, committee of the whole for May?
Still on mining.
Is that appropriate?
We'll talk about the mining museum.
No, we're on the Water Commission.
Item 6.5, Cobalt Recreation Committee, advertised for members, application form. Any discussion on that?
Is there an outline that's, like, gives them a mandate of what we're looking for? That gives them direction and so people know what kind of recreation it will be?
Do you have any information on that?
No, your worship, I was just giving the request to ask for applications for the recreation committee.
So can I recommend that we have discussion at the committee of the whole of what we would like to see as far as recreation, and then we can choose a committee that fits with what we're looking for?
So you're talking for May committee of the whole? So deferred till May?
Yeah. And then we actually, discuss what we think we would like to have. Otherwise, again, kind of like the original library board, we're choosing a group of people without knowing, so they might not fit.
Would it serve better to have a recreation board, maybe, and they come up with the ideas for recreation?
We give direction. We're the ones with the budget. And it will help people to know if they should apply or not, because you get someone in there that wants soccer and everybody else wants football and.
Rock climbing.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, so.
So is council good with putting the application out?
Yeah, I think we should find out
For
who's
sure.
out there.
Before summer gets here.
That's it, we're appointing a board.
So the application will be put out after the next regular meeting. Item 6.6, Councillor Wilcox, notice of motion discussing about amending the necessity for staff to be present in ad hoc committees. 7.8.2C currently reads member composition, including staff members who shall be responsible for the administration of the ad hoc committee. Proposed amendment would be member composition, which shall include staff members when required for the administration of the ad hoc committee. Any discussion on that?
Yeah, since I didn't get to see you in the last few days, at an ad hoc committee, since it's a formal committee of council, then staff is usually the ones that take the minutes for the meetings. So if you didn't have a staff member there, at least for that, who would be taking the minutes?
Chair.
Chair?
Yeah.
Like,
If I may, Pat, the reason we're asking for that is because we've had a very difficult time getting staff to attend a meeting because we're in the middle of budget and everything else, and it's been hectic for them. We tried 3 or 4 times and were unsuccessful. Then we had a day lined up and one of us were away ill. So it's just been a really, really hard time. And we thought if the members of the ad hoc committee could get together, review it and review some things with staff, but call staff in when we were preparing to make a report to council, then staff could have their input and look after the administration of it. Not trying to do away with staff, but
I was just hoping to figure out where, where your thoughts were going. I see where you're going. Okay.
Angela?
Yeah, can we maybe, rather than leaving when required, like, can we change the wording because it's somewhat subjective to know when something is required? I'm not sure how to tighten it up because you're suggesting that they would still be there for the final meeting in approving whatever gets presented to council.
right, that would be all processed through staff and staff would have a chance to look at it from their perspective, which is sometimes different from our perspective.
Just saying they can go on with the meeting. They don't need to be there every meeting. I know, you see, I was just coming from transit background where there's a whole pile of staff sitting at that transit table too. So that's why I was wondering about it, yeah.
I think,
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, we don't have, 50 plus staff or whatever.
Precisely.
Town, so
yeah. And
we can only cut their bodies so many directions. Okay.
there are things we want to have from staff as well, for input and some of the things that particularly affect them. And we're not trying to carve it out or anything. We just want to be able to do some of the groundwork so that we can move forward.
Okay. And you're talking like that's for the committee for the.
Order, please.
Bylaw?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, so we'll bring that back to the next meeting. Vote on it.
Thank you, tomorrow. See you lot.
Item 6.7, staff report, prevention of hacking of council meetings. Mr. Shimko, can you come on up, please?
So my name is John Shimko. I am I'm a previous councillor in Temagami, so I have a fair idea on how councils operate and municipal act, et cetera. I run a company, and the company is actually just me, called Caribou Mountain Imagery, and I've been contracted to do the website for Cobalt, as well as your online portions of the meetings. Mm-hmm. One of the we had on the 21st, people are using the term hacking, and it's actually an erroneous term. The tech term is Zoom bombing. What it really is, and I hope you don't mind, I'm going to speak in metaphor and analogy in a couple of these things, just try to take the mystery out of things. It's very similar to party crashing. We have set up an online meeting section because of COVID. And during the COVID period, well, we still have the COVID period, during the period where we weren't allowed to meet where you weren't allowed to meet as a council, the meetings were replaced by online meetings. Mm-hmm. Because of the replacement for the online meetings, people were attending through the online meetings, and it was determined that they wanted to continue this, continue public participation for the meetings rather than just broadcast. So that way, if you have somebody who's presenting or making a delegation, they can still make a delegation online and they can do it from their home. Continue the online part of the meeting as the meeting for quite some time. As COVID restrictions started to get a little looser, you were allowed to meet, you had a quorum of council actually in council chambers, and therefore the online section was not a replacement for the meeting, but it was actually an addition to the meeting. And that comes up a little bit, that's an important distinction. Where we had problems is just as we don't take ID when people are coming through the door, the last council decided they didn't want people to have to register their email address in order to attend a meeting. That was a conscious decision, and it was, I think, a very democratic decision. The danger in that is that when you open the door and say anyone can come in, anyone can come in. So you get a lot of these I don't even want to call them hackers, they're thrill seekers. Usually it's kids, and they'll find public meetings, go into the public meetings and try to look for a way that they can disrupt them. One way that's very difficult to control is they're changing their profile pictures into something pornographic or whatever. What happened at the last meeting is because we had the Integrity Commissioner doing a report, I had opened up the option for sharing because I didn't know whether or not she had documents to share, and someone took advantage of that opportunity and immediately shared a picture of Hitler. We got rid of that as fast as we could. When we posted the meeting, nothing was removed from the meeting. The image of Hitler was blocked over, but the time code is still at the bottom of the meeting. So it's a continuous, true record of what the meeting actually happened in the meeting. But where do we go from here? So your options, I think, Temiskaming Shores has a very controlled option, and what they essentially do is broadcast their meeting. So people are not attending the meeting. It's very similar to watching a television show. They are broadcasting the meeting. I think they do it through a Facebook meeting, but there's YouTubes and all of the meetings like do we do Google Meetings, do we do WebEx? Really, it's all the same thing. And you have the same options. It's just different formats that you can go into. So one of the options is you can broadcast your meetings in order to have that never happen again. The other option is to have people register, which again doesn't completely make certain that people can't attend and do this, they just become more traceable. But you're sacrificing a little bit of democracy because you're making people essentially show ID before they enter the door. The third option is to continue as we've been doing, and then just, be a little diligent and make sure that you can get rid of them a little faster because you're expecting them. One other option that you might want to consider, and when we had the meetings being completely replaced with online meetings, there's an option called the Zoom webinar, and that allows the administrator to control permissions more strictly for the people coming. So essentially, it's broadcasting, but you've got people in the galleries that you can say, okay, yeah, you can come in for a bit. Yeah, you're back out. And it controls people along that way. But the problem we had with that was there's a thing that when you go into Zoom, there's a thing called a waiting room. And you can enable a waiting room. You go into the waiting room, the administrator has to let you in. We were using the waiting room when we went into closed session. And I'm sorry, I keep saying we, I mean you. When we go into closed session, we were enabling the waiting room and putting people in so that in public, you could come out of closed session and announce, and then bring those people back in that waited the 25 or 30 minutes. And, they had the option, most of the people would leave, but they had the option to continue to make sure you came back and said, we just finished our meeting, reporting that we're done, and then close the meeting. So that was how we stayed with the Municipal Act in terms of, because it was the actual meeting, the Zoom was the actual meeting. Because, and this is my opinion, but I think it's a very educated opinion, because we now meet as a council, and it's actually a physical meeting, and the Zoom is just an addition to it. Mm-hmm. You don't have the obligation to have people attending online able to rejoin the meeting for you to come back in closed session and end it. A council, that might be a little precarious for a council that would have their closed session in the beginning of meetings, which some councils do, because you would have the meeting after you've already kicked somebody out of the door, and then not allowing them back in, or having them not know how to get back in. But because you do it at the end of the meeting, I don't think you're under the requirement to come back online and announce that you're coming back from closed session. So what that would do, it's called a Zoom webinar, which you've already signed up for. So it wouldn't be any additional cost. We've done 2 of them here when Jim Diamond was making presentations, and just to get the hang of it and seeing how it felt, we did those as presentations, and they ran flawlessly because it's a lot more control. We could do that. We could also, the communication can be done between the administrator and people in the gallery. So if you wanted to announce, is there anyone in the online gallery that would like to do a delegation? That is possible, because I can open up and say, is anyone there? They can message me, yes, I can announce that to you and bring them in. So I think that would allow a lot more control, but it would not be against the Municipal Act to do it, unless council, once again, through COVID, becomes where this actually replaces the online meeting actually replaces the physical meeting instead of bolsters. I know that's a lot of words. And to kind of break it down, I think you have 3 options. Oh, yes.
Do you have a favorite opinion on one of those 3?
Yes, I do. I think the Zoom webinar is probably your best option, because that allows full control, and it's still completely 100% democratic. People don't have to identify themselves coming in, but they would have to identify themselves to convince me to let them into the actual meeting where they can speak to you.
What would number 2 on the list be? Just broadcast?
Number 2 on the list would be to carry on the way that we've been doing it, and run the possible risk of people taking advantage every once in a while of me opening up for sharing screens and then someone who's just been sitting there drooling, waiting for it. And they would be drooling, waiting for it because they know the only time I've ever experienced this before personally was as a member of council, not running the meeting in Temagami. And I believe that was an Integrity Commissioner's report as well. So I don't know if they follow it around or if that's a coincidence. I also do not think it was local. It's possible, but there was no content that was related to anything that was at the meeting. And there was no, I couldn't see any kind of way of swaying anyone other than to yell, whoop, whoop, Hitler.
You said that people can comment from the internet and comment on this meeting live?
They can comment to me.
To you. So
yeah, so there's a chat.
Do we have this now, or do we have this?
Yes, we have that now.
How are you bringing that up to the attention to the council? Are you saying the question from the public?
I would if council required that I do that.
Oh, so it's they are asking.
Yeah, so what's happening is they're putting their hand up. And the way that we've been running the meetings so far is because they are not part of the meeting. Here's where the danger lies when you start to bring people into the meeting unannounced. You cannot have anything discussed in council that wasn't advertised. And the reason for that is so that if I run a reptile farm in town, and then all of a sudden someone brings up a question about the reptile farm, and you guys are making decisions that affect me, there's no possible way I could know that a decision is going to be made that affects me. And that's why you guys in your procedural bylaw state this has to be advertised this many times. The agenda has to be able to, people have to be able to access the agenda, so someone can have a reasonable expectation that decisions will not be made without their knowledge. So if someone who is not trained in the Municipal Act simply comes in and starts talking, there's no reason I can't ask Maida, why is your snowmobile at certain place, right? Which is something that could lead into a discussion that is against the Municipal Act because it's against the population of the town, because people are not aware that all of a sudden snowmobile parking is being discussed. Okay. And that's why, so they have the hand where I can message them and saying yes. So if council has a part where they actually want people to reach out, there is a means to do that. But it's not by default done, and the reason is so that the Municipal Act is respected.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And what if we just broadcast?
And if you just broadcast, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. The only negative I can see for just broadcasting is, one, you're going to run into technical problems if someone is in the hospital and still wants to attend a meeting, because now you've got two meetings going on. You've got a broadcast going on, and then you have a Zoom meeting going on, and you have to integrate the two of them, and that gets weird. And if you've noticed, they don't attend meetings by Zoom in Temiskaming Shores. And that's the reason. That's I think during the pandemic they had it, but they had them on telephone, and that's because it's just the technical difficulty of doing that.
They had a different platform.
Yeah, they do it on Facebook
Yeah.
Live.
But would we be allowed to have this just the broadcast unless there was a member who had to attend by Zoom and then switch to Zoom, or do we have to always have the same?
You could do anything you want. I mean, it really, especially with the council meeting or the I think your bylaw states that the the chair of the meeting or head of council, I think it's chair of the meeting, makes a decision at each meeting whether or not they want to have an online portion. So that's not a Municipal Act thing. That's based on your own council procedural bylaw. But yes, you could. It gets confusing though to some people. Some people are like, well, is it on Facebook today, or am I in the Zoom thing? And what about YouTube? And is it going up on YouTube? And can we broadcast on YouTube? So I would suggest we try to keep something fairly consistent. But in answer to your question, yes, it is open to do a number of things. And in my interpretation, you have the right to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, I was just gonna say, during COVID, Wishards was doing, webinars every Friday morning for the municipalities that were members for us. And, that worked very smoothly.
Yeah, so the way a webinar would work, and this is kind of, so let's just say you have a full council. So the webinar basically would be what you're seeing right there, plus, if someone's speaking, just so exactly what you're seeing here. But the members of the public are not restricted members of the meeting. They are viewers as if
They're sitting
like
back there.
they're sitting in the chairs, right? And they're not actually part of the meeting. However, if you wanted to invite them to be part of the meeting, you could say, John, can you please bring David up to the chair? And I say, sure. And then David will come over here and sit down and address you that way, which it gives you that. The only negative that we had, and that was, it was really nitpicking, but again, it's municipal act, so it's something worth nitpicking, was the fact that we couldn't come out, we couldn't suspend people from the meeting during closed session and then come back out of session and bring them back in so that you can say we're out of session. But because the online portion is in my opinion, is no longer the meeting, it's just simply in addition to the meeting, I don't think you have that requirement. And if you decided to go that way, we can institute it in the next meeting and there'd be no technology change. It's just simply me choosing one over the other online.
No additional cost.
No additional cost. And there wouldn't be a need for a waiting room either. That people would just sign on and they're on. Because they don't have, there's no reason to keep them in a waiting room because they already are in a waiting room, more or less.
So it'd be a little more secure then.
It'd be very much more secure. Although I don't think the security at the moment is really a threat to your democracy. It's more just a pain in the neck. The neck, yes.
So how would council like to proceed with this? Would they you want to try
a webinar?
I like it, yeah.
Doug?
I'm going to go with the expert and say webinar.
Okay. Angela?
Sure.
Gary?
Yeah, webinar's fine with me.
Webinar it is.
We'll do that for the next one, and then if there's any negatives or anything like that, we can. Beautiful.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, items for council information, 7.1, Corporation of the Town of Essex, notice of resolution regarding tax classification of short-term rental units. Any discussion on that?
On short-term rent is.
Yes, Angela.
Why is this part of our package?
That's what I asked.
Good.
Yes, Worship, this is looking for support from other municipalities. So the Corporation of the Town of Essex is looking for us supporting them by giving the Honorable Steve Clark a letter on behalf of the Town of Cobalt stating that we are in support of the issue going on with for the taxation of the short-term rental units, because currently they're being taxed as residential property tax instead of a commercial property tax. And other commercial property owners are against this right now.
Angela?
So to that, I know that there are some towns or cities that require a license to be able to run a short-term rental, like Vancouver, for example. My brother had a license to run one there, and you could only run it so many days a year, so that it had to be your principal residence, because there are some people where it is their principal residence, but they're gone, maybe snowbirds or other, for a portion of the year. So it is still their residence. I know that the CRA is apparently starting to tax us. So if you go to sell your house that was in part an Airbnb for a while, that suddenly that sale is subject to HST. That's something very new that was brought to my attention by a local lawyer. So even though it's your principal residence, because you use it for commercial purposes, the purchaser might have to pay HST on it. So that's something to consider even from a federal point of view, that suddenly it is looked at as commercial. But I'm concerned that if it is truly somebody's principal residence, that to suddenly tax them on a commercial basis, I don't know. I think that you kind of have to look at, is it full-time or part-time?
Any other discussion?
Oh, I think kind of that's what they're asking is that, this be looked into by MPAC. And our support to have MPAC look at it and decide and, make their decisions on how they're taxed.
Yeah, I think we got our hands full with our own town. We don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, just asking for a letter of support. It's not asking for us to be involved with this. It's just, you support them approaching and other towns approaching MPAC about this and sending in the letters. And because if MPAC gets enough support or enough letters, they'll possibly look at it. Yeah, or ignore it. Yeah.
As a town, if we wanted to impose a license and classify it as commercial, could we not do that? We don't need MPAC.
No, this is,
We're just looking for a letter.
Well, I know, so what I'm saying is that you don't necessarily, I don't know what going to MPAC is gonna do. If they want it to be commercial, they should just do it.
MPAC
They
is
just
the
want our
one that
support.
decides how much each building is valued at for tax purposes, and whether it's commercial or whether it's residential. That's what MPAC does. So what they're saying is they'd like MPAC to take a look at B&Bs that are, and part-time B&Bs, and decide whether they're commercial or residential.
The answer would be yes. You'll get more money out of them. MPAC never gives you a break.
So council,
That's all they're asking is that, we send a letter of support to invest, have MPAC consider this.
was council in agreement there? The letter, support?
I've other things to worry about.
No?
They can deal with it themselves.
Doug?
I'm going to agree with Pat. I think we're just asking MPAC to consider it, to look at the pros and look at the cons, and perhaps they're in a better position than we are globally in the province of Ontario to look at that. So yes, I would have no problem having it looked at. Obviously, if you go to commercial as opposed to residential, there's an increase in tax income to the municipality.
Mm-hmm. Jim, do you have anything to say on that?
I'm in agreement with that, Doug said.
Yeah, send it.
It's a waste of our time.
That's just,
Item 7.2, Corporation of the Town of Essex, Notice of Resolution regarding the reinstatement of legislation permitting a municipality to retain surplus proceeds from tax sales. Can you expand on that a little bit here?
Yeah,
Yes.
previously it was for tax registration after 3 years, surplus of the sale then went to the courts. And after 1 year, any financial institution could apply for the surplus, including municipalities. But as of May of 2017, tax registration then went after 2 years. But at that time, the municipality had to give up the rights to the surplus. And only interested parties then could go after 1 year. So what they want to do is kind of combine the two of them. So have it at the 2 years, but allow municipalities for doing all the paperwork, tax registration, have a bid on the surplus.
Any discussion?
I fully agree with it.
Same.
I'd like to see us get all the surplus without an argument, but, because our staff goes through hours and hours and hours, days and days and days of getting this all prepared and getting it through. And trying to get people the hours trying to get people to pay their taxes to begin with. and then we're sitting with a building with no taxes on it for a while. It costs us to do that. And if we could get so lucky that a building is sold for more than what the taxes are owing on it, then I'm all in favor that the town should have it.
Okay. Draft motion, be it resolved, council accept the items for council consideration and information as presented. Can I move on that, please? Jim, seconded by Harry. All in favor? Carried. Unfinished business? None. New business? None. Closed meeting, draft motion, be resolved that council convene in closed session as per section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended in order to address a matter pertaining to the subsection 2B, personal matter about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Can I get a mover on that, please? Jim, seconded by Pat.
Right.
No discussion? All in favor? Carried.
We're gotta do her.
5-minute recess.
Let's make it 2 minutes and get out of here. It's been a long day. I'll fall asleep in 15 minutes. Gotta go ahead.
Good. Business arising from closed meeting, direction was given to staff on moving forward. Item 12, adjournment, draft motion be resolved, the committee of the whole meeting of council be adjourned at 9:26. Can I get a mover on that? Jim, seconded by Doug. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, everybody.